Hi, friends. Hi, followers. Hi, Facebook deprogramming members. A topic came up. Should one protest AA meetings to create change? So I thought this was a really great question. And what I said to this was, yeah, sure, I did it. I did it when I was making the film and even after I made the film. And what do I mean by protest? What I mean is that I went into the meetings and I stood up and I confronted them and said things about what was going on there with safety and sexual predation and 13 stepping and things that were really far worse than that, which included sexual assault, preying on newcomers, both male and female. There was financial predation. I thought that, as I left reading the blog post, there were so many great answers to this question that this guy had asked. Like, no, why would you want to do that? And that's a great idea. To the point where I started to have these memories because this stuff is a long time ago. And I'm going to give you this example. I went into a meeting where there were 300 people on a Friday night in a church in Westwood near UCLA in Los Angeles, where I heard where some of the worst predation was going on with older men to 18-year-olds and even some underage girls. There would be girls then, right, if they're underage. So I decided to go there to take my very last cake. I had already left. Was only out of AA like a couple of months. And for those who've never seen me before, to give you context, I was a member, of AA for 36 years, whatever that means. We could talk about that after this. What really is a member? But I went and I took my cake, and you're only given a minute, which is so short. And instead of talking about me and my cake, I started talking about sexual predators and, that none of this was cool, what was going on there, not knowing that there was a ton of sexual assault going on there. And so what happens is I do this, you're on a big stage, and the place is packed, and it's a lot of young people. And the highest, man, there was like 20s, 30, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds and some early 60-year-olds. I go down the stairs and my husband's behind me and there was someone else with me and we walk down and it's crowded and I'm going back to get a seat and people start yelling out about who is there as predators and people tried to grab me and say, get out of here. Well, my husband knew the guy. This guy was in his 60s. He owns a big, fancy, famous recording studio in West LA. He was a total jerk. Went to grab me, and my husband said, "Get off her. That's my wife." He goes, "She's your wife. She's not your wife." He goes, "Yes, she's my wife." Okay, like this really happened. So we go really in the back. We grab our seats, and people started standing up, pointing the finger at people. They were screaming and yelling at each other, and that he's a 13 stepper, and this la la la. And then people were coming up to me and whispering in my ear, "That guy over there," and all this stuff, and it went nuts. So we leave. We go down to the parking lot, and in the parking lot is our two young women, and they're in a nice, little convertible. And they say, she said, "Oh, thank you so much for coming. That guy there, that guy with all that time, he raped me when I was 16." I said, "How old are you now?" I said, "Oh, sorry. Like, did you call the police?" "No, I didn't call the police." She started crying, and I said, "Well, can we talk?" And she said, "No," and she drove off and she left. So I decided, I began, my husband and I are looking at each other like, wow, this is really nuts. So I go home next day or a few days later, I call the church and I file a report. They were not helpful and they were not responsive. And I wait. So I go and uh, I start continue making the film. And I decide when I'm starting to work with this producer and a young assistant that we're going to go back there and we're going to do other undercover footage of what happened. It would have been so great to have video of it. That was in like 2011. I don't know what our cameras were like on our phones back then. I don't think they were good yet. So anyway, we go back. Now, I think it's a couple of years later. I feel like it was. You know what? There were 20 people there. The meeting had gone from 300 to 20 because we stirred it up. Somebody came, they spoke the truth, they exposed the darkness, they exposed the sexual predation, and people felt empowered, and then people, they left. So do you think, I just want to see people standing, with the, peacefully with the sign, stay out, there's sexual predators here. Why not? You stand there quietly, you have your sign outside on the sidewalk. And if you are really a member, you went, of course you can go inside. You could still, I mean, for me, protesting, like some of the things we just saw, like recently in the television, in a church in Minneapolis. No, I think that if I was a member, uh, and standing up and speaking my truth, saying, "Look, like this is what's happened for me, and this is like not okay," or I've left, and now I can drink, and this is a bunch of lies here. You know what? So I just want to know if there's somebody else here. I did this kind of stuff all over the country. I went into meetings, and I thought I read the room. You got to read the room. Is it safe? Can I do this? Oh, the one that I did in Louisville, Kentucky was wild. That'll be for another video. So I wanted to do a really short video about should one protest Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, any 12-step meeting to raise awareness, to say that there's other options out there, might be your call to action. I'm not really an activist in this. What am I saying? I really was. I mean, I was the first person to force them to create safety pamphlets. I wrote one. We wrote one. I had 30 AA members help me make that first green pamphlet. The Latino community, they translated it. They put it all over into their community. The gay meeting in West Hollywood just took it. They didn't need a big business meeting. They didn't need a New York GSO, seal of approval to do anything. So on that note, I'm going to put this into my deprogram group, this video, and I'm going to be doing a lot more videos because I finally have the energy to do it again. And I think that if you want to reach me, makeaasafer at gmail.com. I'll put the link in below. If if you are a member, you're an ex-member, and you'd like to come on my podcast and have a conversation about this or many other things, let's do it. I'd like to get a group on Zoom, or I'll do a live stream where we can talk about these other topics that it seems like there's a resurgence. No, it doesn't seem like. There is a huge resurgence in people wanting to expose. People are leaving. The people are not afraid to speak on camera. It's easier to do it with all of the equipment that's available with all of our phones. Anyway, so thanks for joining me today. Like and subscribe and share. And there we go. And tell me your thoughts. Tell me, you like what I said, you don't like what I said, you think this is something that's a better way to approach it. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day.